Did Kirito and Asuna have a child in Underworld? How far do you think Progressive can realistically go? Do you think Progressive movies did better than the first season, or is it also speedrunning? Do you think they'll ever announce an SAO VR game? I don't think they will. If you needed to change something in one of the arcs, so many things I don't like. Do you think they'll continue adapting Progressive? Any predictions for the next movie? I do actually. I do have predictions for it. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's me, Gamerturk, and today we're a bit at the mercy of the wind. Yesterday, the day before, they were relatively better, but we'll see how this goes. Hair is no longer a concern. We'll see how we end this video. As I'm coming closer to wrapping up my channel, I figured, hey, I took some of your questions about a year and a half ago in the middle of summer. May as well answer some of them, the ones that are still relevant, that is. We'll see how this might actually pick things up when it's getting windy and more people are skiing down there. This is a beautiful place. Not the best place to record without proper professional equipment. Now, the first one, moment that stands out to you the most throughout the series. I always have a very hard time answering this question. I get this asked quite a bit on my live streams as well. The thing is, my answer usually changes depending on the mood I'm in. It ranges from side stories like Hopeful Chant, where it has those really strong marks, or things like the Human Realm sub-arc of the Illustration Saga. And today, I'm going with that one actually. You know, starting with the Chudelkin fight with that incredible Kirito moment that takes about 10 pages if I remember correctly. That was incredibly shortened in the anime. That continues with their argument with Quinella and then goes on with the emotional moments with Yuju and all that kind of stuff, and Kirito just having lost everything, just walking towards Quinella, all those kinds of stuff. I think that's the answer that I'm gonna go with today as the moment that stands out to me the most. And oh my god, the wind is actually scary, that so that doesn't topple over. Would you like to see versions of stories that take Progressive into account? That was a bit of a weird question because technically Progressive does not contradict with a lot of stuff. Barely anything if you ask me. You know, we have things like passing mentions that Kirito and Asuna have never partied before their adventure with the... Hello. What was I even saying? Right, before they partied up after the Ragu Rabbit stuff. So, on that note, no, they don't even contradict each other properly, and even the later novels, they perfectly take things into account. There are plenty of references like the floor fight pool stuff and all those kinds of things. So, no, not really. I don't want to see remakes of the stories that I have seen before just for minimal changes. Let's keep moving forward, shall we? Third one, how far do you think Progressive can realistically go? Now the answer is, this is becoming quite a popular space. The answer is, as long as they really want it to go, but since the realistically is over there, I, like many others, think it's gonna end on floor 25. That's where Kirito and Asuna go their separate ways. And the way we're gonna go there, given the current pace, I imagine after floor 10, we're just gonna start skipping floors at some point. We'll see when that happens, if we even get there. The progression has been quite slow lately. Do you think Progressive movies did better than the first season, or is it also speedrunning? The first part of that question definitely did much better than the first season, if you ask me. In terms of speedrunning, that depends on how you look at those movies, how you perceive them, because the Progressive movies, they really didn't try to be like the Progressive light novels. In fact, Progressive movies really just intended to give you a two-act story with Aria and Scherzo that tie together, Scherzo being the high point of that entire climax, and I think they did a really great job at what they were trying to do. It just wasn't those progressive progression throughout the Aincrad arc. And I don't think that's a bad thing per se. As I said, they had a plan of giving you a concise story in 2 acts, and they managed that perfectly. That was their all intention. And if you ask me, the Progressive movies, they were the most accurate portrayals of the Aincrad arc or Sword Online, characters, world building, all those stuff. The most accurate version that we ever had. Do you think they'll ever announce an SAO VR game? I don't think they will. I don't think you should hold on to that hope. The most we'll get, probably, they're gonna be tech demos here and there. Like, PlayStation tried pushing VR twice already. Even from a technology perspective, I don't think VR is going to be all that mainstream anyways. It's just too cumbersome. People prefer sitting on their couches, playing with their controllers. VR is just an extreme niche, no matter how much it's being pushed. Apple tried recently, they failed relatively in large scale as well. So no, I don't think SAO is already niche on its own, VR is niche on its own. That's not gonna happen outside of tech demos, in Japanese exhibits and all those kinds of stuff. In Scherzo, when Kirito is crying and looks up at Asuna, shouldn't there be an HP gauge? Did they disband? Animation error? Two things. First off, they may have indeed disbanded, because the way that raid boss goes is they separate all the players into two specific parties. So it's no longer a Kirito and Asuna party, it's the entire party for the raid in two separate things. So after that raid, they probably disbanded when everyone went away, and at that point they did not party up again just yet, because, you know, there's no need to. They're just waiting for the other ones to come over. And secondly, I did not actually visually check before coming over here. I just took my questions as notes and came over here. But the Progressive movie, in earlier scenes, I think it was Arya, showed that you can collapse your party list on the top left with a plus icon. So that may also be the case. I will need to go check back, but the likelier answer, they did disband, yes. Oh, my hands are getting cold. What do you think about the Sword Online Memory Defrag Revival project? Never played it. I still think Memory Defrag is probably the most fun mobile game that we ever had in terms of its engaging gameplay. It's just my issues with it was the constant power creep that they couldn't control in the end, but good for them, good for them. I'm really happy about the Memory Defrag Revival project. I don't know if they're still up. I presume they are, because Memory Defrag still has a huge following, but I wish them all the best. I never played it. I don't intend to go back to Memory Defrag. It's probably great, because Memory Defrag was great in its gameplay. Oh, that's a big question. If you needed to change something in one of the arcs, what would it be? I don't like these questions. No offense. I just don't like these questions in general, but I don't like changing stuff, you know? I have things that I like, I have things that I dislike, but would I want to change the things I dislike? No, that's the story. First off, it's not my story. I'm following the story because I like what Reki is doing in general, and I'm invested in the series. And, you know, if I don't like something, I move on. I am not there to change the story. I don't feel the need. I don't need the urge to. Like, if we go into Unital Ring, there's so many things I don't like. You know, I can say we would definitely be better off if we just left Underworld behind with all its incarnation shenanigans. But no, I'm not gonna change it. I'm not the author. It's not my vision. It's not up to me. And I honestly do not feel this urge to change the series in specific ways. I don't know if that answer makes sense to you, but that's genuinely how I look at it. Even if I don't like it, that is perfectly fine. That was quite the unsatisfactory answer for many, I imagine, but let's keep moving on. Do you think they'll continue adapting Progressive after L4 into the anime, after the L4 is over, or maybe after Unital Ring? No movie or weekly anime specified. And yes, I do think Progressive will definitely get its chance after the L4 is over in the light novels, if you ask me. This year, well, rather early next year, in the winter period, I imagine, we're gonna be getting probably, that's the word, from the Rekikawara streams and all those kinds of stuff, that we're gonna get that Progressive book, Floor 8, finally we're moving on from Floor 7, and the L4 campaign is gonna be ending on Floor 9, so if they keep Reki on that one volume a year and one series book a quarter that they seem to have in the past year, we're gonna be getting there earlier 2020, what year are we in right now? Early 2026, we'll probably wrap up the L4 campaign in the light novels, and then hopefully the upcoming original movie is gonna be over as well. Unital Ring will be just as far from completion, and that's when we can actually get that Progressive coverage in the anime. Whether it's movies or normal anime series, I still think movies are a lot more luxurious, especially if you look at Japan, but the worldwide reception, due to how fragmented the releases have been with Progressive, partially because of the COVID period. If they want to, you know, go for committing to the entire progressive that we will have at that point thus far, I imagine it's going to be a weekly anime series, and yes, my answer is before Unital Ring. Because Unital Ring is just so much more away at this point. Did Kirito and Asuna have a child in Underworld? So far, as of Unital Ring 7, Sword Online Volume 28, the answer is no, with an asterisk, and I am now eating my hair. It's been teased in one of the earlier volumes when they were speculating, how children work and all those kinds of stuff. Asuna had a complete blank moment and Kirito had a huge headache suddenly at the thought. So it's heavily hinted that there is something out there, something, whether it's their child, whether it's a creation, people will know what I'm getting at, a creation that they did at some point as an experiment of sorts. I don't want to go into more specifics. Something has been hinted, yes, but the current answer is no, with an asterisk that says we just don't know yet, we need to have more. Your favorite non-canon character and why? This used to be Rain for quite some time now. From Lost Song, if you don't know. Her cheerful attitude, wanting to do the best for her sister and all those kinds of stuff, that was really captivating for me. But last collection's Dorothy actually took the crown from her for me. Especially coming out, that may just be because of that comparison as well. But coming after the extremely unlikable Medina that we had in Alsatian Licorice, going over to the extremely likable and understandable Dorothy with a compelling narrative arc to go through, that one really won me over at the very end of the Gameverse. I wish more people would experience Dorothy, but last collection, it wasn't the most successful game after the exhaustion that was Alsatian Licorice for many people. Any predictions for the next movie? I do have predictions for it. First off, I think the most likely time space to cover this original movie would be within Underworld, those 200 years. Not Mooncradle, but something completely separate that builds up to some of the events that will happen in Underworld in Unital Ring. Alternatively, they can do something similar to Ordinal Scale. There is not much time in real-world time, mind you, between Alicization and Unital Ring, but they still can sneak in something there, maybe with a little smaller stakes, which is not very favorable for a movie, if you ask me. They can still do it, and they can lead up to the real-world side of Unital Ring on that front as well. Those two would be my main speculations as to what they may do for the upcoming movie. Alternatively, we can get an original progressive movie. Not necessarily progressive, but an original Aincrad movie. One of the big floors, something like floor 25, which I still think would be better off being left for progressive light novels and Reiki to have the entire creative there. However, something like floor 50, for example, that would be an incredible opportunity. Floor 50 being the major disaster floor that shifted a lot of the power balances in Aincrad specifically, and my pages are now getting torn apart. That is beautiful. But yeah, floor 50 would be great if they really want to go back to Aincrad, but I think we need to move away from Aincrad for a little bit at this point. There has been way too much nostalgia, way too much random marketing just with Aincrad nostalgia. It's getting a bit stale. We need to do something properly original, if you ask me. Rank SAO Games. I'm glad I waited 1.5 years to answer these questions. Fractured Daydream is definitely number one. Just we need to solve the matchmaking situation. That's it. Hollow Realization I will put in my second place. Last collection, just solely by not wasting my time with bloat and just keeping the story rolling, I'm gonna put that in third place. And then I need to start thinking, because I don't exactly have favorites. Alsatian Licorice will probably come after in fourth place, although I do not rate that story high at all, which is my main priority, which is amazing that it still gets to that fourth place with its gameplay and replayability, if you ask me. Hollow Fragment is extremely dated for me to be able to put it in a high place, but we're no longer in the high places, are we? Fifth place, I'm just gonna put Axel World vs. SAO just for its gameplay there at fifth place. 6th place, probably Hollow Fragment, solely thanks to its Hollow area story, if you ask me. The gameplay is quite dated at this point. And Lost Song, I'm sorry, that's going to the bottom place. Did I miss anything? Oh, I did Fatal Bullet. I really want to forget Fatal Bullet. The gameplay in Fatal Bullet is amazing. I can probably put it easily above Axel World's SAO, so let's put Fatal Bullet to the 5th place. But goddamn, the story, the first 3 DLC chapters, let's not do that again. I don't want to have OCMC, a mute OCMC, where every character is there not to portray their character, but to project a personality onto you, which just ruins the entire... No. That's my ranking. I will put it as a chart because I already forgot what I said. Do you think YUNA will ever return? 1 or 2 years ago, because of the passing of Sayaka Kando, of course, my answer would easily be no, because YUNA has a certain legacy, and Japan, they do not like recasting characters, and YUNA stands in a position where she can just not come up again in the story, if need be. But the games have recast her for... who was it? Matsuda Risae, if I remember correctly. And I think she's doing an incredible job. Like, whoever you show it to, make them listen to the voices. Matsuda Risae is basically doing an incredible impression of Yuna's Sayaka Kanda's voice. Just incredible, impeccable. And I think they're doing a good job on that front. That started with Last Collection and continuing with Fractured Daydream. And the way things are, I would absolutely expect YUNA to come back in anime form in the future as well with Matsuda Risae. So my answer definitely changed over the last 2 years. Thoughts on Scherzo? I kind of talked about it in a previous question already, but I think Scherzo has been the best Sword Art Online anime material that we have ever received. Yes, it is a bit of a shame that it's not the true adaptation that many people have asked for, but then again, even with its original editions, I have not seen an SAO material that is so SAO. Of course, it has its anime exaggerations, which is understandable. Certain things you need to convey with visuals, and when you want to express via visuals, you will exaggerate things a bit. But absolutely top tier SAO material, the best SAO has ever been. And before Scherzo came out, that title belonged to SAO Movie instead, not the weekly anime. That's why I'm a big proponent of the movies. I think they do a whole lot better where it really matters. It's just the accessibility, the reachability of the movie is... it leaves a lot to be desired, honestly. AGGO Season 2 or Unital Ring? Oh boy. Oh boy, I am a bit late in answering that question. The answer is AGGO Season 2. But let's rephrase that. AGGO Season 3 or Unital Ring? The answer is AGGO Season 3. To be frank, the way Unital Ring is, do not hold your breath. I tweeted about this a couple days ago because someone asked me whether we will get an announcement after AGGO Season 2 ends. If you ask me, we'll either get a movie teaser if they have anything to share, and if they don't have anything to share, we will get a new anime season announcement for any of the alternative series, be it GGO, Clover's Regret, Gourmet Seekers, or whatever. That is my prediction at the moment. Perfect timing. Unital Ring anime when? Not in the next 5 years. Don't hold your breath. My answer keeps staying the same. I have a video on the channel that I did about 5 years ago saying, hey, it's at least 5 years away, and that answer is not going to change until we see a reasonable goalpost within the light novels themselves. We still don't see a reasonable goalpost in the light novels themselves, so at least 5 years away, if not more. Will they ever make... oh my... why is it so windy? Will they ever make another game with an OCMC? I hope they don't. I really hope they don't, because oh my god, that does not work. I don't want characters spending all their screen time trying to convince me that my character has a personality when they don't. But yeah, right now the focus is Fractured Daydream. Integral Factor is still going strong. I don't think there's any reason to randomly go back to the Gameverse and have a new game with the OCMC yet again, or a new OCMC, I don't know. I don't think there's any reason. And given the way Fractured Daydream is, with how it's a live service, as long as it keeps going, I expect it to go at the very least for another year or a year and a half. and then we can make predictions again as to how far Fractured Daydream will go. Favorite Integrity Knight? Favorite Integrity Knight? I do enjoy a lot of the Integrity Knights. I don't necessarily have a preference, but if I had to pick, I am going to go for either Sheta or Renly. I think both of their stories were really compelling, although they were kind of sort of abridged in the anime. They had a little bit more to provide you if you read the light novels, but I really like where they come from and where they go over time, especially Sheta, since she has a little bit more screen time in Moon Cradle as well. That gives a little bit more context as to our conclusion. We don't really get that for Renly for now. But yeah, if I had to pick a single one between those two, for now it would be Sheta. In the future, there's a high chance that I will switch back to Renly. Answer pending. My hand is frozen, I cannot actually flip this paper. How did Kirito get the mold for the Osmanthus blade to use as a key for the Cloudtop Garden? For those of you who don't know, without going into stories, there's a portion in Unital Ring where Kirito is returning to the Central Cathedral, and Star King has created a lock mechanism that requires that you put 4 swords into their specific slots to be able to unlock the certain door. Those swords being the Night Sky Sword, the Blue Rose Sword, the Lambent Light, I want to say, Radiant something, completely forgot, and the Osmanthus Blade of Alice. Now the thing is, Osmanthus Blade, throughout the 200 years there has not been an Osmanthus Blade in Underworld, because of course Alice held it as her possession and then logged off for 200 years. My assumption, which I usually go with the simplest answers because this is actually a simple assumption to make, it's not even slightly reaching, but they have access to the system logs. They can easily get the properties of the Osmanthus Blade from the system logs and use that as a reference easily. I don't think this is as unreasonable as it sounds, even though it looks like a huge hole in the story on a surface level. I don't think it's a problem. Do you think the virtual reality will overlap reality with the help of Elon Musk and Palmer Luckey? Elon Musk, you are not going to do anything with Elon Musk's help. Palmer Luckey, if you actually listen to the guy, he had an extensive interview back during, what was it? I think it was around the SAO launch period. There were a lot of events and Palmer Luckey had like a 10-15 minute interview there as well and shared his thoughts about VR. And I think he was being extremely reasonable, because when you look at the sci-fi aspect of SAO, it is genuinely sci-fi and appears to be quite unreachable, and in certain aspects it's even cumbersome. However, when you look at that interview, if I remember things correctly, it's been 2 years or maybe even more since I watched it, but he's talking about how we don't need the nervous system stuff to do a reasonable VR experience. We need to make it convenient first, but people will probably still much rather go with their controllers, you know, lie comfortably in bed with a small headset that covers the peripherals and all those kinds of stuff. And I really think that's where we're going to, and over time with augmented reality just enhancing our regular stuff is the extent that we will go. Is Unital Ring the final arc? As the final question, the answer is yes and no. Interintelligence arc is going to be likely the ending of SAO, and Unital Ring is it's theorized to be what's going to evolve into the Interintelligence War. So whether you see those two as 2 separate arcs or 2 sub-arcs, like the Human Realm portion and the War of Underworld portion of Alicization, that is up to you. But yes, I expect that to be the end of SAO. Hopefully it doesn't drag on just like Axel World is. Those were all the questions from almost 2 years ago. The wind is clearly telling me to go before it destroys my stand and phone. That was all. Thank you very much for your questions. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.